It was as long ago as 1993 when the club announced the so-called long-term plan, which was a plan which was played out over a period of 18 years in order to further develop the club's facilities during that period. And that plan called for the building of number 1 court, the building of new courts 2 and 3, the Millennium Building, and during the course of that 18 years of construction, also the magnificent roof that we see here on Centre Court, which was commissioned in 2009. It was, I guess, the middle of 2011 when that so-called long-term plan came to an end with the opening of the new number 3 court by His Royal Highness the Duke of Kent at the beginning of the 125th Championships. And following that, the club committee took the view that in order to keep Wimbledon's leadership position in terms of the premier tennis tournament in the world and indeed the finest stage in world tennis, that a second long-term plan needed to be developed. That planning phase is now coming to a conclusion, and indeed we're announcing the development we're calling it the Wimbledon Master Plan. That Master Plan shows new things that we're planning to do here at the grounds over the next 10 to 15 years. The centrepiece of the announcement is that we will be building a new fixed and retractable roof on number 1 court, together with new additional hospitality facilities built within the court itself. That's a very important project. It will probably take 5 or 6 years to design and build the new roof for the court. We're very excited about that. We do believe it's important that we build on the success that we've had with the roof on Centre Court since 2009. It really helps the fans coming here to Wimbledon and also the millions of people watching on television. With Wimbledon having 2 roofs in due course, then clearly more fans who come here when it rains will be able to watch the action live, and our broadcasters will have 2 tennis matches playing out simultaneously during wet weather. Some initial work has been done which confirms that the same air conditioning that we have on Centre Court will need to be applied, not surprisingly, to number 1 court. So that has already been confirmed. We're now studying the capacity of the court itself. It's currently 11,500 people. What we want to do as part of the work on number 1 court is to replace all the seats as part of this project and introduce new wider seats as we have on Centre Court. That of itself will take around 300 seats out of the capacity, and so we are looking at ways by somewhat extending the bowl towards the back, by adding perhaps 1, 2 or 3 rows to the back of the bowl, how we might recover the loss of those seats, but also potentially add perhaps 1 or maybe 1 or 2,000 more. So our intention here is Centre Court needs to remain as it is, the jewel in the crown. It needs to be our biggest court, and number 1 court needs to sit nicely alongside it. And what we'd like to do is to see if we can find a way of making the bowl somewhat larger in order that more people can come and watch the great tennis on number 1 court. At the northern end of the grounds, we are looking to greatly enhance the experience as spectators arrive on the grounds. The northern end of the ground essentially will be rebuilt, made more beautiful, the existing Orangi Pavilion demolished and replaced by new facilities built into the natural topography of that land. 3 new championship courts will be built over time at the northern end. That work will probably take place once the roof on number 1 court has been commissioned. And then as we move through the central part of the ground, our plan is to take one of the championship courts out of commission, probably court 19. That will allow a bit more room in that part of the ground. We're able to do that because of 3 new championship courts to the north. But we're also going to take up a number of the courts in the central area, take them up, create new basement areas underneath the courts and then replace the courts. Towards the southern end of the ground there are some important things that we'd also like to do. I think our sense today is that Wimbledon is a very very good experience for fans coming here, but we are an event where people who come with tickets are in a privileged position, be they centre court, number 1 court, number 2 or number 3 courts. And one of the things that we like to do is to find ways to have more of our ground pass holders experience matches on number 2 and number 3 courts. That's possible by making these courts unticketed, but that can only happen if we can find space for those people to queue while they're waiting to go onto the court. And that means we need to find additional room for that. We would also like to take 2 of the championship courts at the southern end of the ground out. We can do that because we're moving those 2 courts to the northern end of the grounds, and that would allow us to taking 8 courts down to 6, allow those courts to be set out in a way which allows for more room for the courts and the areas between them. There's a lot to do. This plan will take a very long time to play out. We think probably 15 to 20 years is the kind of time frame in order to get all of this work done. We're very excited about it. We think it's the right thing to do for Wimbledon. We absolutely cannot afford to stand still. We're now starting, with the publication of the plan, we're now starting a very important period of consultation, and that's consultation with all of the key stakeholders involved, be they members, neighbours, media, other stakeholders in tennis who might have a view on our thinking. And we're very excited to hear what they have to say about our plans and indeed to have their comments.